All right. All right, we're live. Welcome to paraglidingtalk.com. I'm your host, Robert Michaels. Glad you are here. We have a very special guest tonight. Kent Erickson is with us. Kent Erickson is the founder of an amazing organization called Angel Wings Charity. They have a website, angelwingscharity.org. This is a 501c3, and we're going to talk about what his dedication is to, but mainly it's for people that are in maybe adaptive recovery situations. They're stuck in a wheelchair or something like that, and he's made way for them to get up into the skies with paragliding. And we're going to have a great conversation tonight. I want to mention the sponsors real quick. By the way, in moderation, Anthony Peregringo's with us. Sean Nafsker is working moderation. And anybody with a tool next to their name is working in moderation in the chat. If you're in the chat tonight, I'm glad you're here. You're the reason that I do this show. So I'm glad that you're a part of it. And thank you for chiming in and coming to join us tonight. The show is brought to you by a couple sponsors. One of those is PPG Smoke. PPGsmoke.com is the website. They've got a great website and a great pile of things to add to your flying repertoire. These are some of the items back here. Chase cam headsets. They got new strobe system, amazing strobe system, by the way, and flotation. They've got the single flotation device, and they also have the two separate ones. Amazing, high quality stuff. You'll love it. And so check out their website, ppgsmoke.com. Also, the show is brought to you by paramotorprops.com. Go check out their website in case you blow up a prop like I did. You can call them very quickly. They will get you a prop, paramotorprops.com. Best deals on the interwebs. Also, the show is brought to you by American Allied Drains and Plumbing. If you're in the San Diego area and you're in need of plumbing, American Allied Drains and Plumbing is your company. If you mention Paragliding Talk, they will give you 10% off of the services that are required for your plumbing needs. And so go check them out. You can call them 844-777-9055. That's enough with the infomercials. Glad you're here, Kent. Thank you so much for joining us. I know
Good to be here.
Yeah, I don't know how it took so long for us to cross paths, but I'm glad that we did. Kent recently has been working at Torrey Pines Gliderport. That's where I met him. I passed by somebody that said, "You know Kent?" And I was like, "No, I don't know Kent." And then it was literally just moments later. I was sitting at the counter and he passed by and I was like, "Hey, how you doing? I'm Robert. Nice to meet you." And he's, whatever. We shot the breeze a little bit. And then I had no idea who I was talking to. I had no idea who I was shaking hands with. This guy's amazing. He's been flying for a while. Also, we've got some close friends that we're all kind of connected. And anyways, pretty interesting stuff. So glad you're here. Thank you for making the time tonight.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Thanks. I appreciate it. This is great.
How'd you get into the sport of paragliding and paramotoring? By the way, he does both.
Gosh. My dad was a pilot, had a couple airplanes, and my grandpa too. So I grew up with and around in aviation, and was very comfortable flying and being up in the skies and stuff. And I always loved it. And how I got into it, I started hang gliding first. And I've been in healthcare, and I was flying to the East Coast with a physicist to look at an MRI at Johns Hopkins because I was selling MRIs for GE. And so we were going all the way out there. We sat next to each other on the airplane, and I'm looking out the window, and I say to him, "Man, I wish I could just jump out of this airplane right now and fly through those skies and the clouds." And I just kind of laugh, and I didn't know if he's even paying attention. And he said, "Really? Well, I do that. I hang glide." And I was like, "What?" And so for the next 2 days, that day and the following day, I was just peppering him with question after question after question. I was supposed to be talking about physics and MRI technology, K-space, black blood, T1, echo times, all this stuff. And I just was saying, what kind of hang glider? How long did it take you to learn? And how much it costs? And how do you train? And literally a week later, that very next day or 2 days later, I was at his house asking him questions, looking at his hang glider. a week later, I ordered one, picked out the colors from I think Will's, and ordered a harness from Betty at High Energy. Gave her my measurements, bought a helmet, and I'd never taken one lesson, but I just bought everything. And then I headed down to Wallaby Ranch with Malcolm Jones, and he was my instructor, and I learned to hang glide, and that's how I got into this stuff.
Malcolm Jones. What year was that?
This was about 2000.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've been,
22 years. You still hang glide?
yeah. I haven't for, let's see. I haven't hang glide at Torrey for several years, but I did some arrow towing a couple of years ago down in Florida.
Oh, no
But so
kidding.
it's been a couple good 2-3 years since I've been hang gliding.
Nice. Padre Brook PPG donated $10 to Super Chat. And he said, donate to Resurgence PPG. It's a good place to donate. So we've got one of the most epic places to fly paragliders or hang gliders here in Southern California. If you haven't checked it out before, it's Torrey Pines Glider Port. It's amazing. What point did you transition from hang gliding to paragliding? What was the straw that broke the camel's back on that?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. So I moved from the East Coast to the West Coast, and that same physics guy that I was selling the MRI to, he and I started a hang gliding group in the Midwest on the border of Iowa and Nebraska, and we were doing truck towing for hang gliding there. And so from him, I started a little bit of the rivalry of the hangs versus what we
Baggers.
call them the panties.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we call them the panties. And so I moved out here, and I was kiteboarding, or trying to, at Black's Beach, and the water was so cold. I didn't know how cold it was out here,
Yeah.
and it was sandy and such a pain. I'm looking up, and I see all these paragliders, and I thought, man, should I do this? And my sons are out for the summer, and they went up. I got them some tandems, and it looked like a lot of fun, and so that's how I started taking some lessons at Torrey.
Who was your instructor there at Torrey?
Uh, so man, I dealt with Robin, but it was Bob Hammond, Max Marion, Brad Geary. Those were the three main ones.
Nice.
Wow,
And what was that?
Brad Geary.
Yeah,
Was
yeah.
that what year was that?
What year was that?
Yeah.
That was about 2009, 2010, 2009.
Okay.
And so I spent literally all day, every day for 2 years flying with Max, Brad, Bob, and a bunch of other great pilots there. And GE went through some layoffs, and so I was getting paid, and I was just flying all day, every day, learning from those guys. So my skills went up really, really fast just being around them and doing all the crazy flying that we did with those guys.
Yeah. I want to try to tap into some of those stories tonight. You've
Oh boy.
got there was a place and there was a certain point in time in your flying and learning that you said, you know what, I want to become an instructor. What was the deciding factors? Take us through what was going through your mind when you were like, you know what, I want to be involved in this somehow.
Well, I got my pilot's license, my private pilot's license, and I was around a lot of really talented CFIs, flight instructors, and they were really cool guys. And so in my mind, it was kind of a cool thing to do. But at Torrey, there's so many tourists up there, and you get asked so many questions over and over. And I'm a people guy. I'm in sales, so I enjoyed interacting and answering all the questions. And little by little, I'm a former teacher also, and it was just putting the two loves of wanting to spread the awareness and the love of aviation, and just answering interested people's questions, and investing in them a little bit. So I just thought it'd be a great fun thing to do.
I don't want to just throw some gas on the fire, but what do you think about the today's day and age self-prescribed instructors? Specifically, there's a lot of people that just self-appoint to instructor position for not so much in free flight, although it happens mostly in paramotoring. What are you seeing there? What's the biggest dangers that you're seeing from that?
Well, my experience has been extremely positive, very, very professional, knowledgeable, thorough. I've had a ton of instruction from between hang gliding airplanes and paragliding. Like I got my foot launch rating at Kitty Hawk in North Carolina, learned at Wallaby Ranch, arrow towing and truck towing in the Midwest. And I've lived all over the country, so I've flown with a ton of different organizations and groups and flight parks and in the whole uh, scene. And I really haven't had any negative experience with anybody in terms of instructors, and I haven't really even seen a lot of what I would call dangerous or poor instruction. In fact, I would say that my paragliding and hang gliding instruction that I've received has been every bit as good as the FAA stuff that I've had. So I've been really lucky and fortunate and blessed to have just a lot of wise, skilled people invested in my flying career. So I
Oh
haven't really
yeah,
seen any crazies on that side.
yeah. Um, you have to be on the internet quite a bit to find some of this craziness. Our show is literally designed out of some bad decisions that I made in the beginning because I tried to self teach in the very beginning, and then later on I got instruction through Phil Russman and Stephen
Yeah.
Nowak up in
Oh yeah.
Soboba, and just the passion sometimes overrides common sense, and it is
Yeah.
what it is. But I had a Cascade event over Palomar. The show was birthed after that because I had so many questions and realized that there were numbers of situations that I was in that they say you don't know what you don't know, and so I'm grateful for the flying community and what they invest in. But this show was literally birthed from this mistakes that I made, and I just started inquiring. And so,
Oh,
anyways,
interesting.
tons and tons of really great guests we've had on the show, and tons of information over the years. I didn't necessarily mean for the show to grow the way it has been. I would say it's more been focused on paramotoring because I feel like paramotor guys are willing to come on the show more often than free flight guys. But anyways, I digress. When you talk about your experience with instructing, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're certified to fly tandems, you're certified to sign people off. That's an active rating that your instructor rating. Are you
Mhm.
also rated to give tandem certifications?
No, I'm not a tandem. What's the term? Yeah, I'm not, and I'm only a basic instructor, P1 and P2 ratings. I'm not an advanced, which
Okay.
is P3 and P4. But
And what
a
about
tandem
the
administrator, yeah, that's the. I got my
administrative?
tandem. I recertified my tandem T3 rating up with Rob up at Eagle, and then Gabe and Tori gave my original one.
Okay. And DP, wow, I haven't seen DP for a while. What's up, man? He donated $10 to the super chat. Said alms for the poor, always a great show, Roberto. Thanks for that, DP. Uh, Talk a little bit about gliders and equipment. Safer now than they were when you got into the sport?
They're pretty doggone safe, I think, but I'm not up on all the technology as much as like all the flight parks that are selling it and being educated and trained and updated and sold on it all the time from the manufacturers. But yeah, I mean, every year they get the performance increases and the safety increases. So, for example, one of the wings I fly is like a high C or a low D, and the safety on that is almost as good as as an A. And then the performance on those wings are getting to be as good as the B's and the C's. So it's just amazing that all these manufacturers spend a lot of time in the wind tunnel, and they have aerospace engineers, and they put a lot of talented people on those projects. So yeah, in short, it's getting safer every year and better performance across the board.
It's crazy. I hear people talking about these rushes. What is it? The Rush 6, and they're staying up now with the with
Yeah.
guys on hot wings. What's your go-to wing, by the way?
I'm flying a Skywalk. Uh, Geez, what is it? The not the tequila. Tequila. What I put a lot of students on. The I can't remember what the heck it is. Everyone, it's
Skywalk.
old right now. Yeah, Skywalk, but in advance, and yeah, those are pretty much the main ones. I got some little clouds too.
Nice. At some point, you had flown some. I mean, you've been flying for years now. Talk a little bit about your mountain flying experience.
You know, I don't fly a ton in the mountains just because I don't have like a lot of the time and to
Yeah.
get to go cross country and things. But I've flown a lot of cross country in the Midwest and then the East Coast. I spent a lot of time in Arkansas, Oklahoma, in that area on that border with some of the guys down there and did some. But yeah, I've flown mountains, but here in California, it's not too bad. You have Saboba and Crestline and those areas, and it's pretty calm for the most part. I've never had to deploy a reserve. I was just talking to Tony the other day. He said, I go, how many guys that have deployed? And he mentioned like 10, and I've never even seen anybody deploy. So I'm not doing a ton of mountain flying. I'm just going up, getting my adrenaline rush, seeing friends, doing some wing overs or whatever I can do, and then heading home.
Yeah. And you're obviously you've had some experience flying overseas, and one of my questions for you tonight was had to do with taking your gear overseas. I saw some pictures, free flight pictures, and you've talk a little bit about that. What can people expect, especially if they've never
Gosh,
gone across international borders with their gear?
well, keep it under 50 pounds, which shouldn't be that hard, but you can put notes in there. And there's other guys that could talk to this probably better than I, like Max Marion would be a great one.
Yeah.
But I put notes. This is a reserve parachute. Do not pull here.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah, things like hook knives I may or may not take because those can be taken or put away in a way that gets your wing and your gear cut up. But I just try to over communicate, and I have your international card and your USPA card, and be very quick to explain what it is. And then I have pictures of my wing and my harness and everything out and flying, so I can show it if the people don't speak English. I just try to make it as easy as possible for them to understand what this gear is. There's no weapons, there's no drugs. I'm just here to fly. Here's my helmet. Here's my instrument. It's not a bomb.
It's
So,
not a
and
backpack full of drugs.
yeah, right, right.
I'm
And
not a
I'll
mule.
also have some Google translated words,
Smart.
parapente, for example, in Mexico, whatever. But I'll do whatever I can to make it easy for them to understand what we're doing here.
Incredible. That's the best answer I've ever had talking about international. Seriously, putting a tag on the reserve handle, really smart. Do not pull this in
Yeah,
maybe a couple languages. It's
yeah.
so funny you say that because I got my gear when I bought it and I literally put it in the garage and I'm like, what is this? This is awesome. And I start like pulling stuff and I pull the handle and I was like, "Tick-tick-ink," and the two little hooks came out and I was like, oh, what is that? And I started to open it and I didn't yank it all the way out. I'm like, oh, it's like a diaper in here. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the reserve. And I carefully put it back in, put the pins back. I was like, whoa. Yeah, that's why you don't buy your own gear.
I took my gear out of my car, threw my harness on over my shoulder, and walked up to one of the flight parks. And somebody goes, "Hey, you're dragging something." and I thought it was like, a line or something, or a brake line. And I turn around, and my reserve was dragging behind me 30 feet across the dirt and the gravel.
Oh
I'm kind of an
man.
idiot sometimes. The
Oh,
whole
that's
world saw that too. It was pretty funny.
oh yeah. Dang it. Yeah, I've done quite a few. Talk a little bit about a time when you were, say, out of control. You were flying, but maybe the wing took over, and or a scenario that you learned some valuable lesson that you can bring to our audience tonight.
Well, I did a costly mistake. Well, a couple of them. Well, I've done a ton of them actually. There was I was flying with some guys, Casey, who I think has been on the show, and Turbo
Yep.
Bob Ryan, and Mark
I haven't had
Crispino.
Turbo Bob. We should have Turbo Bob on the show.
Oh yeah, got to have him.
Yeah.
Wear a helmet because you'll need it probably if he comes on.
Yeah.
Um, we're up at the dumps flying, and I was the first to launch. And there's a huge cliff face there, and it was a strong day, but not crazy. And I got up, and I got a little bit too close to that wall, and so the wind was just sucking me right up against that wall, and I could not do anything about it. I got on the speed bar, I couldn't penetrate, I couldn't get out, and I just getting sucked
Wait,
right on up
where
at
was
the
this?
dumps, south of San Francisco. It's
Oh,
called the dumps in Fort Funston.
okay. I've never heard of that.
Fort Funston is where they hang glide, and just south of that is where they paraglide. It's called the
Okay.
dumps, and Sand City area. And at the top of that is, it's flat. There's a church, a little parking lot, and it's nothing but rooftops. And there's at the very edge of the cliff are power lines. And I got so close to those power lines, I couldn't do anything about it. And I lifted my feet up because I was just going right over the top, getting blown back,
Eesh.
and I could hear the zzz of the power lines.
Oh no.
And then I did a quick full stall, and I ended up putting down this little grassy patch where the kids played, and everything was fine, but it was scary. But the biggest mistake I had made was I went flying with a buddy at about 5:30 in the morning on a big day, and it was at Torrey Pines at the glider port there over the cliffs there in San Diego. And my buddy Matt Easterly goes out. He recognized it was strong, and he spiraled down and went down low, and landed on the beach. We could see a squall line formation coming, but it was
Uh-oh.
off, 30 minutes out, and the winds picked up more and more, and I was down south, and it went from about 17 miles an hour to about 29, and I was parked and on my speed bar, and I was there for 20 minutes, a good 20 minutes, just zero ground speed. And then it got
Oh,
up to about 31, and now I got a negative ground speed. I'm just going back, going back, and going back. And then I got the I-5 interstate behind me. I can
yeah.
see the Mormon Tabernacle and the big, huge steeples and all the dirty air rotor back there. And I'm like, I've been up here for a half hour. What am I going to do? Now I'm going backwards. So I full stalled it, I was high. I full stalled it just to get down, and figured out once I got down lower, I would, figure it out from there. And I was about 20 feet in the air, and I was letting up off the brake, so that my wing would come out more and more. And I misjudged it, and I ended up falling and landed on my heels on my butt. And I immediately got dragged about 70 feet in this big cactus area. And I knew I was hurt, but I just didn't know how hurt. And I stood up, and I'm like, okay, I can stand, I can move. And my hands were tingling, and my feet were tingling, and my ears and my nose were just tingling like I had electricity going through me.
Uh-oh.
And then about 10 seconds later, I just was in excruciating pain. Turns out I had shattered my L3 and L4,
Oh,
and
no.
off to the hospital I went. But what I should have done, the takeaway there is, I guess the full stall was okay, but what I should have done was what we call a beeline stall. So you have your A's in the front, your D's and brakes in the back. I should have grabbed my B's, pulled down where the wing would essentially fold like that, and it's a much more controlled maneuver. And I'll never make that mistake again. But that was just a really dumb mistake. I knew better. I didn't do it. Cost me, but I learned from it.
And so you were the last guy in the air, and so were people watching when you?
I was the only guy in the air at that point. Everyone else had come down. It was actually me and Matt Easterly were the only ones flying because it was at 5:30.
Oh, that's right. You said that it was super early, and there was probably very few people there. I've been unfortunate enough to pull my glider out when it was windy and get dragged all over the place and embarrass yourself. And
that's everybody. Everybody has. I've done it countless times.
I can handle this.
So if I have a fear with flying, it's getting blown back because it's happened to me twice. And if I'm up doing tandems and it's strong and I have a passenger with me, that's the first thing that I'm worried about is just getting blown back and getting drugged and embarrassed. But it happens to everybody,
Yeah, I've seen some of the OGs pull up tandem gear and let it rip with some people when it's border on 20, and I'm like, wow, these guys are just incredible. There's a couple guys I'm like, really?
It depends on the wing they have. They probably have smaller wings, and most of those guys that are doing tandems professionally all day every day have 2-3 wings, so it makes a difference. But mine is 42. It's a size 42, I think, so I wouldn't be going up in high wind conditions.
Yeah, I need some practice before I start messing around like that. Obviously, those guys are doing it all day, so and some of them for years and years.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
We're
gonna give something away. Let's do it 3 minutes early, shall we?
Yeah,
let's do it. So we're gonna spin the wheel tonight, and we're gonna give away.
Wait a minute though.
Oh, I haven't. Have I done it?
You need to enable.
Hold on here. I got you. We've got.
And then you can go into the spiel. Go ahead.
These retractable keychains. I don't have one here. I've got just a couple more, so I want to give one of those away. Jeff Hammond brought up a good point that you can use you can put a mirror on one, and then you can check your fuel levels.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's a good one.
Yeah, you should be okay to screen share now.
Okay, so no more names in the wheel. I changed it up a little bit. I had a little bit of color.
I like that. Is my name in there?
Yes, it is.
I want to win something.
Wow, this is cool. You guys are so high tech.
Yeah.
Your name's in there. Look right there. See, look at you.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure.
Yeah. I got everybody in there.
Some of my favorite people are in that group right there.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Ready?
Look at Mom's on top. Way to make the cut, Mom.
Ready?
Let it rip. The spin of this wheel is brought to you by Calamity Kite Clinic. Check out their website at calamityKiteClinic.com. You want to up your ground handling game? Well, you do. You can reach out to Sean. CalamityKiteClinic.com. Also, the show's brought to you by Nebraska PPG. Josh Broden, he runs a school in Nebraska. If you're interested in getting some top-notch training, you can sign up with Josh and his team today. There's a link in the description. Also, the show's brought to you by iFly Indiana Powered Paragliding. If you're interested in flying paramotors, no better place to get proper training than iFlyIndiana.com. Kevin and his team will get your feet off the ground. That's iFlyIndiana.com. Oh, it's going to be Shane Wyman.
I don't know.
Yeah,
it's going to be close.
Money.
I don't know. It might even be Mr. C. You never know. Oh,
you might be right. Gosh, that wheel is greasy tonight.
I know. I welded it up really good. Shane Wyman.
Shane Wyman.
I butchered that name really good, Shane. I'm sorry.
Shane Wyman. Shane, congratulations. Winner. Chicken dinner. We will send you out that retractable keychain device. If you will, please reach out to me on the website, paraglidingtalk.com and /contact. And put your contact information there so I can mail that out to your P.O. box or whatever you got. Hot Buttered Steve Productions donated $10 for the super chat. He said, Robert, I didn't make it to the gym again. That's 37 years in a row. You're gonna get fluffy that way, hot buttered Steve. That's how you get fluffy. Yeah, hot buttered Steve always reminds me of food for some reason. Just hot buttered anything. You know what I mean? Just you can really make any food taste better with some butter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Ken, let's talk a little bit about some advice you have for the aspiring pilot, and then we're going to talk about the aspiring tandem free flight pilot.
I know somebody asked a question like, what advice do you have for a new PG pilot as they enter the full season? And just being a good student. So, ask questions, listen twice as much as you talk, be humble, pay attention. Yeah, it's a fine balance between having guts and managing your fear and confidence. I'm sure everybody goes through that no matter what they're doing, anything that's a little bit scary. So my advice is, just get a good instruction, get a good school, get good gear, and don't buy anything off the internet or eBay or Craigslist like people are always asking me about, and just get some, good people investing in you and your flying career.
It's great. Will Fly donated $5 to the super chat, and I missed it. He said, Resurgence PPG rocks. Thank you so much for that contribution, and Resurgence PPG does rock. By the way, if you don't know what Resurgence PPG is, they are they are like a secret society in the paramotoring community. But what they do is they sponsor adaptive recovery military men and women of uniform. Maybe they lost a limb, or maybe they're just dealing with PTSD or whatever. One of the guys created the organization to sponsor these guys, and realize that flying can pull them out of a bad place that they're in their lives. And anyways, amazing place. Go check out their website at resurgencepbg.com. Sean Wyman donated $5 to the super chat. He said, why was the mushroom invited to the party? Because he was a fun guy. I know what you meant to say. He wrote bachelor, but autocorrect.
That was Shane Wyman.
Shane
I
Wyman.
I believe where you're going with the resurgence thing, a 501c3.
Yeah, it is a 501c3.
Yes.
That's correct.
I got to meet one of their newest alumni, actually.
Yeah.
It's going to training, and it's the first female
Really?
pilot.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
It is she's very nice.
That's
It was
awesome.
very, very cool.
Was she one bopping around in the back show when we were on last week? Because you were surrounded by like 5 or 6 girls. At one point I looked, I'm like, what the heck? Sean's got all these girls around him.
I know, it was surprising to me too. Yeah. I was like, oh, well, there you are. Okay, then I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to scare him away.
This is just Sean. He's just sitting there with, I'm like, the heck? Sean?
Hey, Yankee said Bad Apples raised like $30K for Resurgence PPG.
Whoa.
Absolutely.
That's a big amount.
That's awesome. That's what they were hoping for.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Who ended up winning that motor, by the way?
Oh, yeah. Do you know, Sean?
I do know.
Somebody in the chat post who won the motor at Bad Apples. So I thought it was a full setup, and then they also,
I believe it was Gerald
donated a frame, I believe.
Wait, what?
I think it was Gerald Calipos, if I'm not mistaken, but I could be wrong. I mean, that was a week ago.
Jack Burton?
Jack S. Burton, yeah.
That's who it was? That's who won.
Yeah, Jack S. Burton, yeah.
That is
I know
awesome.
it was one of those names that was just uncommon for.
Yeah, they're all commenting right now.
Hey, there's a good question I just put in our chat, by the way.
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay.
Mad Sloper. What does Kent think about flying PG with 2 reserves, one steerable and the other square? Which one would he throw first in a situation?
Well,
Good question.
that's a good
Bad
question.
sloper.
For me, I wouldn't have two reserves unless I'm doing acro, which is, pretty typical. Those acro harnesses, they have one on the side, front, and or below. Just because I want to deal with the weight and the cost and all that. But if I had two of them and I was throwing one, I would throw the steerable one first, just because you got that capability. But yeah, I mean, even with the reserves, yeah, the technology and those things are just getting better. They're getting lighter. It's great. And I was going to say too, I heard you mention one of the sponsors, Nebraska PPG.
Yeah.
When we started our flight, our group, it was me and my buddy, the physicist, just the two of us, and it was just hang gliding, doing truck tow. There was nobody with, you had to go to like Denver or the east side of Chicago, or southeast side of Chicago, to find anybody that was doing anything like that. So I talked to him the other day, and he said they got, I don't know, a dozen guys doing paramotoring PPG in Omaha, and that's where all my kids are, in Omaha. So it's,
No kidding.
not 5 minutes from him. So I'm like, wow, when I go back home, I'm gonna do some flying there with those guys. So it's cool to see how the sport has grown, particularly in the Midwest, because looking at the USHPA magazines, which I used to do religiously, everything is, like California or Hawaii or some of the European pilots. And now we got, Chicago's got a bunch now, and now we got some in Nebraska and Iowa. I love it. It's awesome.
There was a show that we had maybe, I don't know, a handful of episodes ago, and we had a couple of twins. They're called the Flying Freckles. They were on the show. Amazing guys. They're hang glider instructors from, I think they started at Kitty Hawk, and they've somewhere at some point they made their way this way. But what they told me was mind-boggling. They said that over there, all the young people are hang glider pilots, and the older guys are all paraglider pilots. Oddly enough,
yeah, it's the next gen thing. They want to do something different than the quote unquote old guys.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah,
but
for
it used
us,
to be. Yeah, I was going to say it's the opposite.
Yeah, yeah. For us, it was like, one of the old hangs, and now we're starting to be one of the old paraglider guys, and the new guys want to do faster and smaller decision window, crazier stuff in the hangs. But they're fun. Hang gliding's a blast. I'm glad to see that young guys are getting into it. I'm sure the manufacturer are happy too.
Yeah, it's just so heavy to carry up the hill. I'd much rather, I don't know, if I land out. I guess you just have to be more selective on your flying day.
Yeah,
I watched Bill fly and top land next to his truck at Blossom, so it can be done, I guess.
Well, in the Midwest, we could go just about any time, as long as we had the payout winch on the pickup. We just go and we do platform towing and pull you up and try and catch thermals and just go from there.
Let's talk a little bit about that. Do you ever do you do tows with paragliding, or is it only aero tows with the?
Yeah, no, you can do that as well. I mean, most SIVs, you do the SIV clinics for maneuvers and safety stuff. Like a lot of them do those are in across the country, and most of them are doing well, I wouldn't say most, but a lot are doing behind a boat.
Yeah,
you stand on shore and you got the payout winch in the boat.
Yeah,
and
I did
then
an SIV with Max.
Oh yeah,
amazing.
Yeah, they're great.
But talk a little bit about your setup. What I mean, you're in my opinion, that was pretty new to the sport, that they're doing tows with a payout winch.
Yeah, well, it's much more common in hang gliding.
Is it?
I think in the last 10 years, they've been doing what's called scooter towing, where they use just like a little Vespa scooter type thing, and you can jerry rig it to act like a payout winch, and do this do the same thing with a little bit different setup. Yeah,
I've never heard of this.
Yeah, it's called scooter towing. So I don't know if you could do a hang with it.
Yeah,
I
they
guess
do
you
it.
probably could.
They do it out where I'm at. Yeah, they do it out where I'm at when they do winching with the hang gliders. They do a lot
Oh
of hang
wow.
glider training out at the field that I fly at, and they've got one that is powered by a scooter, and
Yeah.
then they've got another hang glider that actually has the tow line through the prop, like through the center of the line
Yeah.
Oh,
runs
I've heard of
out the
this.
back into the prop. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen a recent tow by Camel on the videos here on
Wow.
Facebook. Yeah,
Listen to this freaking guy.
I'm serious.
That's
Put him
awesome.
in
It's a really
timeout,
good-
Rip Man. Put him in timeout. This guy.
I'm telling
So
you.
I would like to find a spot somewhere here to do tows. Rip Man, he was in the pre-show. He'll be in the after show. He did a bunch of towing, put out some videos and stuff. But it's fascinating to me. I did ride with Gabe on the boat and helped him do some tows and just kind of learned a little bit about how it works, and it was super cool. It was neat, but it's mind-boggling to me. So is there a place to do it here, Southern California? Do you know of a place where they do tows with paragliders?
I don't.
Never heard of one.
No, because there's so many places to fly here. You got you have soaring opportunities, you have ridge soaring opportunities, and everything from La Salina down across the border in northern Baja, which we do a lot, all the way up the doggone coast to Vancouver. There's not a lot of reason to that. It's more like the Midwest or Florida, that type of thing.
Where you have to.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about your paramotoring background.
So the first time I ever paramotored was out at Salton Sea, and I think I was with Casey Cadwell, Brad Geary, and Max Marion, and Brad said, "Hey, throw this thing on and go.
Give it a rep."
Yeah, so that's what I did. He goes, "Squeeze here, and you're gonna just squeeze the throttle and make sure you keep running on launch. Let it pick you up. Don't jump in your seat." So I did exactly what he said, and I have a free flight student right now who wants to get into it, and I said to me, in my opinion, the best paramotoring pilots were free flight pilots, because you learn how to harness the winds and you're a lot more in tune to it. And the first steps for flying paramotors is free flying. It's the exact same teaching and instruction. In fact, I do a lot of that for Casey Cadwell, his students, his PPG students. I'll do a lot of the free flight stuff, and then we'll transition them right into a paramotoring. So that was the first time I paramotored. I just grabbed it and went. And of course, I'm around guys like Jeff Hammond and Casey, and those guys are two of the best, and so I learn a lot from them, and they help. So yeah, it's great. In fact, I just had a conversation today with a guy who is he's a bigwig with one of the hunting outfitters and one of the biggest names in the industry, and he's also a pilot. And I met with him and I told him what I'm going to do, which is I'm going to start using the paramotor to start what I call para hunting.
Oh,
And so I'm going to have, my gear. I'm a bow hunter as well as a rifle hunter. And so you can get into the back country and take your gear, your tent, all your stuff. And then of course, get out as long as you got a place to, land and take off. And so the possibilities are just endless. And we're pretty excited about that. In fact, they made me a brand ambassador for them. The company's called Kuyu. And so I get, discounts and things like that, but
nice.
I'm going to take it and go. And I'm having conversations with some of the people in the sport of hunting about it now. And I've got quite a bit of interest and buy-in. So I'm planning on putting all that together and getting sponsors and doing that and filming it and
nice,
taking the ball and running with it. Yeah.
That's awesome. By the way, if you guys are just joining us, Kent Erickson runs angelwingscharity.org. That's the website. and he's been doing this for quite some time. This is a 501c3, so you can get a tax deduction if you do donate to his organization. There's a link in the description. Talk a little bit about that. Tell us about what you're doing over there, some of the things that you guys have done at
Well, I
Angel
appreciate
Wings.
it, Robert. When I was years ago, I was involved with the Special Olympics, and it's been near and dear to my heart. And I got my kids involved with them when they were little, being around the athletes and just loving on them and encouraging them. And it's something that's been important to me. And one day I was at the Torrey Pines Glider Port, and there was a girl and a mom there, and this girl was 16 years old, and she had chronic fatigue syndrome. And most days she did not have the energy to even open her eyes. And she was having a particularly good day, I found out later. And she's sitting there in the chair with the support of her mom. And I guess she, at one point, was a really good athlete, in her earlier years, 12, 13, 14, 15. And she seemed really excited. And I said, "Hey, do you want to go for a spin?" And her mom says, "Well, I don't know if she could do that." And the daughter says, "Yeah, I can do it, Mom." So we threw her in the harness, and I took her paragliding, came back and landed. And when she landed and got out of the harness, she ran up the hill to her mom, and she had a little bit of adrenaline dump afterwards and fell into the chair. But she had the biggest smile I've ever seen in my life. And her mom, I looked at her mom, and she was crying, and she said, "You have no idea what you just did."
Wow.
And I thought, you know what, that cost me nothing. And it was such an easy thing to do, to give that other person such joy and encouragement. I said, this is an idea. This is what I'm going to do. And that's where Angel Wings was born. And I told her and a few other people, I said, I'm going to start a nonprofit, and this is what we're going to do: show love and encouragement to those less fortunate, special needs, physically challenged, mentally challenged, as a way to just love and encourage them and through the joy of flight. And so that's how it was born, and that's kind of what we do now.
Angelwingscharity.org is the website. Again, there's a link in the description. Please support them. Such an awesome thing. Let's talk a little bit about we just talked about how nice you are and how great you are. And my next question is going to be about some trouble. Have you been in trouble before? At any point in time, have you ever flown somewhere you shouldn't have and got in trouble for it? And don't tell me if you never got in trouble for it, because there's people that will tattle on you.
I have to be careful what I say, because I with a few exceptions, I've probably gotten more trouble than almost anybody I know. I was going to send you pictures for the show. Oh, yes, for one. And I came across one where I was holding my GoPro down here, and I was getting yelled at by a cop, and I'm recording and taking pictures of him while he's yelling at me. And that was up at Sand City.
Oh, okay.
And there's other guys in the sport, like Johan. If a lot of people watching will know him, you should have him on. He's a buddy of mine. He and I have done all kinds of crazy stuff. I don't know how much I should tell you, but we've been chased by police. We were chased by a police helicopter once, flying some places that we might not have been supposed to, accidentally, of course. My brake line for a while had the protective sheath came off of it, and I would leave it like that. It didn't affect the tensile strength or the integrity of the brake line at all. It just looked kind of bad, and I kept it that way so that anytime I landed under the flight rules, you can land under emergency flight rules anywhere.
Yep.
And so I would land. If I was too lazy to walk back someplace, I would just land where I wasn't supposed to land. When I got in trouble by the authorities, I just would hold up my brake line and say, "Yeah, look." I didn't say anything. They look at it and they'd be like, "Oh, okay." So
wow.
We've done all kinds of stuff.
What's the big takeaway from all the years of experience, what would you say is the biggest thing that you wish you could tell yourself, like back in the day, like, hey, this is what you should have been doing in the beginning, now that you've got some flying time under your belt?
Yeah, Robert, that's a good question. Yeah, made a lot of mistakes, but I guess one thing I was pretty good at was I was okay with looking like a fool. You learn
Yeah.
well if you have a big ego and you're trying to be cool and act like you know everything and have everything down pat, you're not going to be a good student. And I prided myself on being a good student because I was okay to look like a fool, and I did. Um, Things I would do different, I guess. I would get with guys like Gabe and Max Marion and other great pilots, and I would get into scenarios and I would ask, like, how do you come out of a sat? What's the exit on a sat? That's one particular maneuver. Or what's the best way to say you get big ears and it's big blown out and you're trying to get down, you pull big ears, you can't get them out. Just little things like that. Put yourself in scenarios and ask them and get one-on-one time. And, it takes 5-10 minutes and you'll get some just gold information, from some of these guys. So I'm always asking questions still, whether it's hang gliding, paragliding, or paramotoring, whatever.
Never stop learning.
Yeah, never stop learning. Exactly.
That's a good one, no doubt.
Yeah, and to be honest, Robert, I've watched you, and it's one thing I admire with you. You're always asking questions. You're very humble, and you haven't been flying that long, and you've done SIVs. You know everybody in the sport. You've asked a million questions. You're flying a ton of sites. You're flying different wings, and you're moving forward. So, I'd cite you as an example of how to move forward in the sport safely and in a fun way.
Appreciate that. Yeah, I feel like the show is actually a part of the community punishment program. So I'm just you don't see it, but I have an ankle bracelet.
Paying your dues.
Yeah, have to do the show after all the
Well,
trouble
I was
I
gonna say
started.
the show. I was gonna say the show is great too because we don't have anything like this in the sport of hang gliding, paramotoring, or these aviation sports like this. And so I think you'll get a lot of interest with guests coming on and everybody coming together and have one central meeting place where we can talk and learn and grow and hang out and have fun. And I think it's a great thing you started. So that's why
Oh,
you've had
thanks,
the
man.
success you've had already. Keep it
Yeah,
going.
it's super fun. I appreciate that, and I will. Yeah, there's still a bunch of people. I would like it if you. I don't know if you can make it happen, but maybe shoot a message to Johan. I'd like to have him on the show. There's been a couple people that have mentioned his name. I've never met him before, and not that I know of. So I'm interested to
There was a number
pick
of
his brain a little
years.
bit.
It was like a flying circus out there. There was eight of us, nine of us. Just getting yelled at and screamed at by Robin and people,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
having fun when the crowds went away and stuff. Just
yeah,
it was some of the best memories of my life hanging out with all those guys.
yeah. I would say that you're not an actual paraglider pilot unless you have been yelled at by Robin at some point.
Yeah,
So
exactly,
if you haven't, then you're not on his radar. Then you're not a real pilot. You
exactly.
like you keep your P2 card. You're
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
been out there so many different times where Robin's out there. Hey, yeah, where's your strobe at?
yeah,
You
right,
know?
yeah, right. Don't turn in the window.
Yeah, get out of the window, you idiot.
Put some clothes on.
Yeah. uh, yeah. We're friends now, me and Robin.
Yeah, right.
We
Yeah, he's
really are.
awesome.
I did a bunch of work on his house. We put an air conditioning system on his house up there in Palomar.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and the kids.
Every flight park is different. It's just there's different. For example, down in Florida, hang gliding schools, you have Quest and Wallaby Ranch, and they're two of the biggest, best around. And each they have they're just a little bit different vibe and how they do things different. And I've been very fortunate because I've been to so many of them literally across the country that I've gotten different ratings at and learned from and got to fly at and met people. So that's one of the reasons that Angel Wings was pretty easy because I had a lot of relationships from across the country. So yeah, I encourage people to go to different flight parks for different ratings and learn things. You know, even though I got my tandem in San Diego, I was up in Santa Barbara getting it, you know, recertified up there, and I'll continue to do that because everybody's got something to add.
You know what? That's a great idea. I think I'm gonna make a trip, bring the wife, and go up to Eagle, spend a weekend up there or something. Just go fly
Yeah.
there a little bit. What's the best time of the year to go up there? Is it like right now?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So you have ridge on a strong day. You have ridge flying there, and then just right behind there, you got you know, 4 great sites, and plus you got cross country opportunities, soaring opportunities, and it's a ton of pilots, very active.
Hmm.
And I would also say Telegram. You know, I know San Diego's got one, Santa Barbara's got one too.
Okay.
Just get on the various Telegram flying channels, and that's how you instantly get hooked into the community there locally.
That's perfect. We got a couple more minutes left. I do have to mention one other sponsor, Lone Star Paramotor. LoneStarParamotor.com is the website. If you're in the Lone Star State of Texas, you can reach out to Ron Turan and his team for world-class training. That's LoneStarParamotor.com. Also, a new sponsor that we have, MaxAcro.com. So that's Max's channel for if you want to sign up for an SIV, maybe you want to go on a flying trip with them, maybe you just have some questions about flying, you want to get your certification, maybe I think he's going to be any day now, he'll be able to do tandem certifications, and he's a certified tandem instructor. So that's coming very soon, and I'm literally like, maybe it already happened, I'm not sure, or he's days away from that. So go check out his website, maxacro.com. That's MAXACRO.com. Want to just real quick open up for questions and comments. If you have, Matt Sloper said winter's the best. Thank you. The couple questions in the chat from Mad Sloper. He said, does Kent use the swoop flare landing technique on all his landings?
Every time I can. That's the funnest one.
Yeah, that is the funnest one. And then he asked also, what does Kent think about the flapping landing technique?
I had students tell me that they want to do that last week, and it's not something that we recommend. Sometimes tandems, you know, if you want to stop, I'll do it on a tandem, but it's not something. It's just a lazy, bad habit, if you ask me, and it's unnecessary. And I would learn the other landing skills first. It can be used in certain applications, but there's no reason to do it if you have a wide open area, or if you're at Torrey or Eagle or anywhere else. There's, you know, unless you have to get down and you're trying to spot land in a tight area. But it's fine. But I just think you don't want to get used to it. It's lazy to be doing it unnecessarily.
That'd be one of those advanced techniques as well, you know.
Flap
Not
landing?
like for beginners. Right?
Robert tried that and he fell on his
You're
cushion.
pulling to the stall point and then you're letting it back out, pulling to the stall point, letting it back out. That would be an advanced maneuver, right? I would think. I mean,
yeah,
especially if you're in no wind situation.
Yeah,
bad. It's bad.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to make. Go ahead, Kent.
No, go ahead, please.
I was going to make a point here. Earlier, we were talking about toes and pulling and stuff, and I just want to make it clear that there is such thing as camel towing. You guys, I honestly, this is what I meant, and I didn't realize Robert thought I was making a joke, but this is camel towing.
Yep, it's a real thing, folks.
Look, there's the camel.
I didn't doubt you.
I think you did.
I did. I admit it. I totally doubted you.
Come on.
That does look like a pretty rad place to fly.
Look at that.
Oh yeah, it does.
Look at
Those
you know,
real
I took my vacation. My last vacation was we went to Sand City, and that was amazing. It was in June. It was incredible.
Oh yeah.
Camel.
Yeah. And you flew there, right?
Yeah, I did.
Camel.
I
Double
flew all
hump
the way up
camel.
and down.
Yeah.
Went all the way up and down the entire strand. It
Yeah.
was so incredible.
Yeah.
How'd you get in trouble out there? What'd you do? It's like that's kind of like the Wild
Oh
West.
gosh. Yeah. I don't know. I can't remember. But it could have
Okay,
been a
that's
million
fine.
things.
We'll
I was
talk
with
about it in the after.
Johan.
Yeah, we'll talk about it in the after show. I don't want to incriminate you. Now you just named Johan.
Yeah.
Throw him in the mix.
No, I'm blaming him.
Yeah.
Seriously, most of the trouble I've gotten into, it's been with Max, Brad, Johan, those guys.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know it all too well. Well, we're going to go to the after show. Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. And I feel like we just kind of scratched the surface. I would love to have you come on again at some point.
Yeah, anytime.
That
Love
would
the
be
show. Great
amazing.
job. And it's these guys are great too. Even the insane asylum padded room that he's in as he's drinking his coffee. That's
It looks too real right now too, for some reason.
that might be why he's scaring the girls away. I don't know. It doesn't look too inviting.
Yeah.
It's actually in the basement under
Nice.
Robert's compound. He
Yes.
feeds me bowls of rice.
Yeah. As long as you spin the wheel and do what you're supposed to do, you get some rice. And
I see
I
why
know
I
you're
live it
low
up
on
really
toilet
good.
paper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you guys do a
Couple
great job of the
squares to do
show.
alone.
I'm glad you guys are doing the show, and it's just going to continue to grow. So best of luck to you, and keep up the great work.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. Again, go check out angelwingscharity.org. And thanks again for coming on the show. We're gonna go to the after show. If you have some questions, you want to join the after show, come jump on. We always have a great time. We're not gonna hold Kent hostage, but he's gonna stick around for just a couple more minutes.
Yeah, for sure.
If you're one of the Patreon supporters or one of the PayPal supporters, I really appreciate you and your contributions to the show. You keep the show going. Also, the super chatters, you guys are awesome. I love the comments and the feedback and what you guys bring to the table every week. All the people in the chat, thank you guys. You guys are what make the show great. We'll catch you on the next one. If I don't see you on the air, I'll see you in the air. Have a great night.